At the start of 2025, I announced a game project that I would bring through to completion. That project was Orbital Entropy. Almost all of my content in 2025 revolved around this game, and now as we approach 2026, I want to announce my new project, Orbital Anarchy. Now, I never anticipated making a sequel to Orbital Entropy. Quite frankly, I am getting tired of making videos about that game. I had a few other project ideas that I wanted to turn into games, but those quickly fizzled out, and so around mid-September, I felt the urge to create something else. One thing that started this project was the idea that I could optimize the way I made things in Orbital Entropy. My first thought was the planets. I had a semi-flexible system in Orbital Entropy for creating planets, but I wanted to try my hand at something that gives far more customization. So around September 15th is when I began designing planets. Now in the old game, every planet was made with unique sprites, but I wanted to try my hand at something that gives far more flexibility. Do you want to draw terrain? Easy. You want to draw rings or even an accretion disk? Done. What if I want to shade the north and south poles of the planet? Well, that's easy as well. Within a few days, I had basic planet types such as small planets, big planets, stars, and black holes. I also had basic planet physics down along with the camera system. The groundwork was there. I had the basic systems that Orbital Entropy had. Now I wanted to make something better than Orbital Entropy. I wanted to go above and beyond. So I started working on the destruction mechanics. I wanted to avoid the gameplay loop of Orbital Entropy for now, and I saw this game as more of a destruction sandbox or just a fun little destruction machine, so to speak. Within the next few days, I had planets breaking apart in what I call remnant mechanics, and I also had heat. I also started experimenting with explosions and sound just to make it a little more satisfying. I also wanted to implement something I find really interesting, which are pulsars. Pulsars are rapidly spinning neutron stars, super compressed and collapsed stars that are very heavy and composed almost entirely of neutrons. What makes pulsars so unique is that they spew out lots of electromagnetic radiation out of their north and south pole. So these things are pretty insane. And you know I just had to make these beams completely obliterate planets. So with these mechanics forming together as our own little galaxy, I really started thinking that I wanted to make this game something bigger than its predecessor. I had this idea in the back of my mind that I wanted to make this a sequel to Orbital Entropy. I mean, I even called the project Orbital Entropy 2. So I whipped up a quick little title image and began working on the main menu. I wanted the main menu to have a lot of chaos going on, so my idea was to have a bunch of planets being flung towards a star. This star can just be a regular star or a pulsar or even a black hole. It'll choose between the three and set that on the title screen. Obviously, I think my favorite is definitely the pulsar. I also added a little info box mechanic. Hovering over a planet while holding down Q will show you the name and some basic information about it. I had this idea when making Orbital Entropy that I wanted a sort of educational aspect to the game, but I never really built upon that. And so this is like a little nod to what I wanted to do with Orbital Entropy. I don't know if I'll expand upon it or even completely flesh it out, but I think it would just be cool just to be able to hover over a planet and potentially see some interesting information about it. With this game being a spiritual successor to Orbital Entropy, I wanted to include some of the same gameplay from Orbital Entropy, but I want this game to be a lot more. For Orbital Anarchy, I wanted to implement the same gameplay as Orbital Entropy into one of the game modes, aptly called Entropy. But I also wanted a sandbox game mode and a golf game mode as well. So we have the Entropy game mode, which will essentially be the same gameplay as Orbital Entropy. We have golf, which I plan to make like golf, and we have a sandbox mode. I planned for the sandbox mode to be sort of like the map editor that Orbital Entropy had, where you'll be able to design maps both for the Entropy game mode and the golf game mode, but also just make little simulations or fun little creations, whatever you want to do in the sandbox mode. With this, I finally decided that I wanted to give this project a proper name before I show it off to the world. So I went with Orbital Anarchy. Why this name? Well, I think Orbital Entropy has a nice ring to it, so when making a sequel, I wanted to keep sort of that same ring to the name, but I didn't want a direct sequel. I want to think of this as more of a spiritual successor to Orbital Entropy. So after toying around with a few ideas, I looked at a thesaurus and found my word: anarchy. Lawlessness, absolute chaos, an ideology that tends to invoke fear and panic. I think it was absolutely perfect. Orbital Anarchy also has that same ring to it that I feel Orbital Entropy had, and the definition of anarchy isn't entirely chaos, but it's a very similar word. It sort of invokes that same feeling that I feel entropy and chaos invoke, and so that's why I decided to go with the name Orbital Anarchy. I feel that this name gets the point across that this is something more. So my motto for this game has been Beyond Entropy. And I've been really busy working on this game for, I would say, probably the past month and a half, and there's so much I could cover, just every technical little detail, but I think I'm going to sort of just kind of gloss over it in this video and talk about the fundamentals. I've also been working on the user interface. I think I have a pretty good UI system right now. We have buttons, we have toggles, and we have sliders, and controller support is actually in the game at this point too. Since adding support for controllers in Orbital Entropy, I decided that I wanted this to be an out-of-the-box staple for Orbital Anarchy. I also want to work on touch support as well, but right now that is kind of on the back burner because that involves a little more overhaul in how the game is laid out in terms of UI, so I just want to put that on the back burner for now. I've also completed saving and loading for both the game options and the Entropy game mode, which is what I'm going to talk about next. So the Entropy game mode is mostly fleshed out for Orbital Anarchy, and there are some key differences to how this game mode operates compared to the gameplay of Orbital Entropy. The main difference is that orbits are no longer counted as a completion goal for a level. Orbital Entropy had a method for easily counting the amount of orbits that a planet would make around an object, but I feel that this method wasn't perfect, and it would sometimes show, especially in a case where a planet gets a little too far from an object, or for a brief period of time decides to orbit another object. So I just entirely removed it. Entropy levels also have a minimum, median, and maximum score. This allows players to complete the level with the minimum amount of points needed and allows them to gain stars or medals for completing these certain completion stages. This allows the Entropy game mode to operate on a 3-star system, which I think removes an element of randomness and promotes a more fair but also competitive playing field for everyone. Right now I have 6 Entropy levels in the game, with plans to add many more, but for now I'm focusing my attention on the golf game mode. Right now I have the basic mechanics such as bouncing off of walls, but I want to add a few more elements of fun, and I want to look into actual golf to see how I can make the golf mode in Orbital Anarchy fun and fall within the rules of golf. So for now, I hope you are willing to join me in another game dev journey. I know this project is very similar to my last, but I'm on a little space kick right now, and I really want to bring another game to completion. So if you are willing to join me, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, leave a like or a dislike, and I would love to hear if you have any thoughts or opinions down in the comments. So thank you so much for sticking with me here, and I will see you in the next update. Goodbye.